Hi, and welcome to my Rug Hook and Tuck Show. Okay, so my Anderson frame has arrived. I can't tell you how wonderful it works. So what I did do is I've been hooking on it. I took it apart. You just have to take out two bolts and pop it up and put the bolts back in. So virtually no assembly. It comes stained and all, the wood is all nice and smooth. These little covers, if you could see, these little covers just have little holes in them, and they fit over the side pins. I'm going to take see if I can just pull this over here for now so we can kind of see. Okay, so there you go. It's a little closer, and you could see where I've already hooked my outlines. So here's another side. See the pins? Okay, so this just covers them up as you're working. And it's also for traveling to keep them when you fold it down. Okay, so there's the pins on the bottom. So this just pops over it. And then the top pins, and then there's, over here, this tightens it into place. There's a little peg on the bottom. I'll show you when we take it off. So I'm just going to pan you back down. Okay, sorry. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is just take this off the frame so you could see how easy it works. Okay, so you know what I'm going to do? Just give you a minute to go get your coffee or your tea or whatever you're drinking, bottle of water. So go get that, and we'll start working on taking this off. The pegs come already in. Everything's put in. Everything's packed really well. Mr. Anderson did a beautiful job on this frame. They're all handcrafted, and he's out of Maryland. So if you're on the East Coast, you'll probably get it in about 2 weeks from the time you order it, and maybe a little less. And if you're on the West Coast, it might take a little longer, but depends. Mine came really fast, so I was really happy about that. Okay, so let's see if I can get you a little closer here so we could see. Okay, so basically, to remove this frame, you can't just pull it off. You have to release the tension. And let's see if I could show you. Okay, so right over here, that releases the tension for this top one. And this top one is the one that pops it off. It's literally 2 twists. And you then can there's a little peg on the bottom. I'll show it to you when I get the frame off. That's attached to that roller. And that's it. Is that like so cool? Okay, so here's the little peg I was talking about. It's right over here. Okay, and that little peg enables you to pull the tension. So once it's on, you press it on, they're all standing up. Then when you're done, you do that, you lock it into place, and this thing is tight as it can get. I can't believe how wonderful it is. As you can see, it's quite small and quite easy to maneuver, even on my desk area. So I'm excited about that because I like to hook right to left. So I'm always kind of doing this, and this tilts back and forth, so you have no problem with that either. So basically that's it. So when you put it back on the frame, this has always got to be on top. So what we'll do is, they're not sharp. I mean, obviously if you press against them hard enough, you'll hurt yourself on anything, but they are not sharp. They have, I'm going over them with my hand, and they're not hurting. So they're not going to scratch you or anything like that. Okay, so at this time, I'm going to take this opportunity to show you how much I've been hooking. Okay, so that is the front. Okay, as you can see, the grid design is starting to take place. And that's the back, just so you could see. I'm a pretty tidy hooker. Okay, anyway, so I've been moving this, and I've just started working on the Anderson frame because it came yesterday, and I was out of my mind with excitement. So I'm going to go ahead and put this back on. And they just kind of press on. That's pretty much it. You know what? My mistake. They always want you to start on the bottom, he says. So let's just make sure I line that up correctly. So that helped anyway. He says it helps to make it tighter when you put all the pins on from the bottom. And they basically, this is it. They just kind of push in. And yeah, that's it. So you want to be a little careful pressing them on so you don't pull a thread, you know, because that could happen with anything. Okay, and then you do your sides. Like I said, they just kind of pop in. There's 5 of those pins, and there's 5 on this side. Okay, and now we can go over the top here. It's going to be under my binding, so you can't really see it too well, but that's where they're at. Actually, I'm going to have to move my pin out of the way so it can get in there. Okay, and there you go. Okay, we're all in. Yep, they just kind of pop in. It's really cool. Yeah, I'm like amazed how easy this is. So basically that little peg on the bottom is how you rotate this to make it. See how it's getting tighter, tighter, tighter? And then you just tighten. And you just tighten. And it's done. That's pretty tight for me. Considering the clamps, this is really tight. Then you just take your little guys if you want to. I mean, I do. I put them back on just to protect my hands from banging into them. Okay, that's it. So, you know what? The clamps are just as easy, but they were hurting my hand. So the other problem I'm coming up with was we discussed hooks and how I've used this little inexpensive hook for my whole life of rug hooking. I have a whole bunch of them. When I started, I got one of every size because they said you should use one for every size cut. You know, the 3 cut, the 4 cut, the 5, 6, 7, 8 cut. So 8 being primitive and above, or maybe even 6 and above is primitive cutting. And then 3 is very fine for detail, and some people, you know, portraits and that sort of thing, facial expressions, that sort of stuff. And then you have 3, 4, 5. So I tried to get one for everything, but I really only use 2 because I don't do fine cut anyway. And I find yarn works better with a big, like primitive size hook. So anyway, I'm finding I'm getting a cramp in the middle of my hand, the ball of my hand, where you kind of place this. And even though I've been changing position, it's not so easy. I'm still getting that little cramp. So as much as I don't want to have to invest in another hook, I might have to do that. So I'm looking at the Hartman hook. I don't know if anybody out there is hooking with a Hartman hook. I hear they're great. There's also a bent Hartman hook. If anybody's had some good use with that, I might be investing in one and then the other just to make sure. Somebody said get both so that, again, you reduce the strain on your wrist and your hand by using it in different directions. So, yeah, drop a comment if you could, if you're a member of YouTube, and let me know how the Hartman hook is working for you. So basically that's what we're at. So I'm just going to continue hooking here because I had some bottom pieces that I left because I couldn't finish them because we got up to the frame. So we'll be working on those. Okay. That's about it. Because I hook from right to left, I usually I'm always switching this, as you can see. So I can still do that with this frame. That's not a problem. I just have to retighten that side. So there's 2 sets of those bolts, those little knobs here, as I showed you before. There's 2 sets. One is for the angle, and the other one is to tighten it to make it nice and tight while you're hooking. And I appreciate that a lot, that there's a nice even tension here. I mean, I probably can get it tighter. I gotta be honest, I'm a little nervous because I've never seen it get so nice and tight. Let's see if I can get it even tighter. because it's just so interesting to me that it can get this tight so quickly. And I'm amazed that wow, that is something. So if you are in the market for a new frame, this is outstanding. Outstanding. I find it just nice because it does hold it really tight all around. It does fold down, so you could travel with this quite easily. I gotta be honest, I probably wouldn't even take it apart if you had to travel. I mean, this would fit nicely in my bag. I got it so that the dimensions would fit. And just put your little protectors on there, because they're even there to protect it from something hitting up against the pins and bending them. So that's all you have to really do. By the way, they have these cool little Velcros so that when you take your rug off, you strap it around and it holds it in place. So they're not doing this kind of motion. They're very secure when you travel. So anyway, I'm just giving you my review of the Andersen frame. And yeah, I am very pleased with it. It comes with some great instructions from Mr. Andersen, where he explains everything to you about the frame, as you can see here. And you will love this frame. Like I said, I've never invested much into it. I always found rug hooking to be this great frugal, or it could be real frugal, thrifty hobby by just going to the thrift stores and buying wool clothes and buying some inexpensive RIT dyes and dyeing some stuff at home. You could keep this very low cost. But like I said, as time and money permit, I was able to save and get this great frame, and it's absolutely worth it. So if something is bothering you, the only thing is, if you are hooking like me from right to left and you switch it, these are sticking out a little bit more, but they're not sharp, so they're okay. What is sharp are my little pins that I have over here on the side, and those are kind of getting me every now and then, but these are fine. And I guess you know what it is when you're hooking diamonds, and I've never hooked a geometric. Well, I kind of have the shape of a square in some of my other rugs because the backgrounds were patchwork style, if you see on my number 6 video. So hooking in a direction, you have to keep changing this because it's not like hooking well, it is, but it isn't. For someone who hooks from right to left, you would understand. So this does move around quite easily, is my point, and that's not a problem. But what you learn from each rug that you hook is that the style of the rug, you either like doing it or you don't. So I'm learning that this is just very much in one direction because it is just one shape. So, but it's enjoyable, and it's not much to think about, which sometimes you like a rug where it's just everything is pretty set in stone, so to speak. You don't have to think too much about colors and rack your brain, would this look better? This is it. This is the design. I'm enjoying it. I look forward to coming down and working on it. I don't want to rush it because then the fun is gone. Although we get to the next rug, so it's never ever gone. It never is. Okay. So that's basically it. And I'm wondering, I saw the bent hook, and I just never knew why there was a bent hook when these hooks work pretty good. But now I'm starting to understand why. As I keep hooking, I could feel the wrist and the palm of my hand a little cramping up every now and then. So I'm wondering if that's an option to that bent hook. Let me get under here. So, you know, and the beauty about this, see, as I'm getting closer to this edge, it's getting uncomfortable for me to hook. So I'll be picking it up and relocating it in a little while. And it's not that hard on my arms to do that. So, and you know what? The bottom line is, too, with any rug that you're hooking, you know, you tend to put it the way you're looking at it. You put it on the frame so that you're looking at the design. So as you're hooking, you get a good feel of where this rug is going design-wise. But I think once you got that down, like a geometric, obviously it's a geometric. There's not much in the design department. It's more color is what's going to give you the impact of this rug. You can change the rug direction of how you're hooking it. If you hook right to left or up and down, or however you're comfortable with to do this. And that's the beauty of it. Whatever works for you is good. No rules. There's really no hard and fast rule, except I would say the big rule is don't cross your loops underneath your foundation. They should all be flat. You should not cross over from one spot to another. Like if you're hooking here and all of a sudden you see you want to hook here, you can't cross under it and start hooking there. You have to snip it off and start in the spot but most of you know that. So other than that, I don't know if there's any rules, because sometimes when there's so many rules, you never get new look and new style and new technique and new designs and a new art feel for rug hooking. So you have to experiment, and sometimes you have to go outside the box a little. And that's it. It's really coming along beautiful. I'm enjoying it. And that's basically the whole idea of rug hooking, right? It's a really wide cut piece. And I didn't want a little crooked looking too. Okay. This piece right over here, it just ended right at the edge of where I kind of wouldn't want it to end, but it did. So we just go back in and finish it up. So, yeah, I'm hearing the Hartman hook also has a very wide shank, which allows for you to kind of push open the foundation backing a little easier without much effort to bring in that wider strip. So I'm hearing that it's great for wide cut. It really lends itself to that. So I'm excited because I like to work with a wider cut. I just like the look of it. I like that you see the strips. See, I'm not struggling, but I'm tugging a little. I'm giving a little effort here, and I'm hearing you really shouldn't have to do that. So, this backing is a little bit tighter weave, just very slightly, I say, from most. I could still see spaces through it, but with a wider cut, it would start to pose a little tension. So that's basically it. But it is giving me a little bit of work. I'm not able to just go in and pull it up very easily. So I'm thinking that Hartman hook might just do the trick. So I like to keep it frugal, my hooking, but I don't know if that's going to happen. So it's, you know what, it's all good. Whatever works. If there's a tool out there to make you comfortable and you can afford it, or it's worth it to save up and put something aside each week from whatever it is, the food budget or something else you might be doing, it's worth it. It's worth it. You'll probably never say, oh, I wish I didn't buy this, or I wish I didn't. You'll always say, this is great. I'm so glad I did this. That's it. So we're coming to the end of the outlining, and soon I'll be filling in. And I'm planning to start with the gray, and that's about as far as I can go here, because now I'm at the very end, and it's not fun hooking this. It's getting uncomfortable. So what I'm going to do is cut this and take it off. Okay, just pop those to the side. Release that tension upward and pop it off. Okay. I'm going to get back to this side because clearly you're not supposed to hook on that side. So I'm going to try to learn how to reposition my rug on here so that I'm always on the flat end, because I don't want to put pressure on these pins, so to speak, with my hand, even though they're not sharp. Yeah, I don't even want them getting my clothes or anything. So since I hook right to left, I am going to reposition this so that I am going to be hooking from here. Well, let's see how that goes. I gotta move it up just a little bit more. There we go. Okay. So it's just pops on, like I said. Just, I think the only thing you'd have to watch is that you don't snag anything. Then I do the side ones, and there's only 5. So if you're punching, I know this comes in a punch model, and the pins are closer together, about 1/2 inch apart. And instead of 22 pins or whatever is on here, there's something like 42 pins. So I don't punch, but I know they like it nice and taut. So that they make this in a punch. Yep. So there you go. A punch version. So there's the punch model and the traditional rug hooking. And because I'm a traditional rug hooker, I felt that this would probably be enough for me. So as you can see, this thing pops up, the little binding. So depending on where you're hooking, I kind of just go in there and pop it down with a few pins, and it keeps it nice and flat. Okay, while you're hooking. So there you go, back on. And the beauty of this is it's really nice and tight and taut up there. So I'm just going to start in the corner here and go, because that's the direction I like to hook. So that's it. Now, I guess this is a lap frame. I don't put it in my lap. I work on a tabletop, and I always have, so whatever works for you is what I say. Okay, this has a little surging edge on it, so I'm going to pull it all the way up so that that's not in the rug. And that's fine. He did say if you find it not tight enough to reposition, just pull it up and reposition it a little tighter. And wow, that is amazing how tight this is. I am impressed. So I give this, if it's a 5 stars, I give it 5 stars. If it's a 10 is the highest rating, I give it a 10. Yeah, this is a dream. This is a real dream. I mean, and I guess the Pittsburgh frame and the one with the carding, people like that too. But I guess the carding strips have to be cleaned out and eventually have to be replaced. And if you're hooking with yarn, they kind of might pull out the yarn. So this wasn't that wasn't an option for me. Although it might do well, it might do excellent. I've never used one for people who don't hook with yarn and they love it. So go for it. Do what works for you. But I am enjoying this a lot. So I think just the next thing is a Hartman hook, so I can see how that works for me, so I don't get that cramp. So this is working along quite well, and there we go. So someone posed a question. This isn't quite cut